You spend your entire life believing that your thoughts are born in the brain, but quantum neuroscience suggests something disturbing. Your consciousness may be just an antenna picking up frequencies from a universal field that permeates every existing particle. If this seems too abstract, consider that physicists have already demonstrated that the observer alters the behavior of subatomic particles. Your perception literally shapes the matter that you call solid reality. What spiritual traditions have always known, and what modern science is reluctant to publicly admit, is that consciousness does not emerge from neural complexity. It uses your brain as an interface to experience a projection that you mistake for the real world. Every atom vibrating around you carries the same creative spark that religions have personified as an external deity, when in truth it pulses within your cells as dormant potential. You don't need to seek God in temples, because you carry the creative principle in your very molecular structure. If you are a co-creator of this projected reality, why do you live as a passive spectator of your own destiny? Perhaps because awakening means assuming a responsibility that few are prepared to carry.
Have you ever suspected that everything you learned about reality is backwards? That your mind is not confined to the brain, but the brain receives it like an antenna picking up radio signals? Do you feel that there's something deeply wrong with the world, but you can't explain exactly what, as if you were living in a dream you need to wake up from? Your entire life has been training for something much greater. You are not a body that has a consciousness. You are consciousness temporarily experiencing a body. Humanity is living through an unprecedented crisis of perception. Billions of people wake up every day, work, pay bills, age, and die without discovering who they really are. We have more information than any previous generation, but less understanding about the fundamental questions of existence. Perhaps you recognize this uncomfortable feeling that something essential is missing, that life should make more sense, that you were born for something greater than simply surviving. We have been taught to interpret reality in an inverted way. They told you that you are a biological accident in a dead universe, that your consciousness is just brain chemistry, that your thoughts have no real power, that God, if He exists, is distant, judging mistakes. Each one of these beliefs is not just false, it is the opposite of the truth. Reality operates differently from what we have been told. Your consciousness is not produced by the brain. The brain is a sophisticated receiver that picks up consciousness from an infinite universal field. Your thoughts are not powerless. They are the creative force that shapes your experience. Matter is not solid and fundamental. It is the temporary manifestation of patterns of consciousness. God is not distant. He is the living intelligence pulsing in every atom of your body and in everything that exists. Quantum physics demonstrates that the observer collapses the wave function, determining reality. Neuroscience shows that the brain physically reorganizes itself based on patterns of thought. Studies on consciousness document expanded perception when brain activity decreases. Science is rediscovering truths known for millennia. You are a powerful creative being, a participant in a cosmic experience of self-discovery. We live under an illusion, believing that physical reality is the solid foundation of existence. This perception, although it makes sense to the senses, inverts the order of creation. Matter is not the first cause, it arises as the final effect of a deeper process. Ancient masters knew this, and quantum physics confirms what mystery schools taught. Solid reality is the visible interface of an infinite field of consciousness and information. The actual sequence of creation follows another order. First, there exists consciousness, the field of pure potential that some call spirit, others call the quantum field, and others call God. Consciousness operates through precise and consistent laws, like an operating system of the universe, guaranteeing continuity and predictability. Only then does what we perceive as physical matter arise. The chair you sit on, the device you're reading these words with, your own body, everything is the final stage of condensation of patterns of consciousness. This changes our approach to life. Those who try to alter reality by manipulating only physical effects obtain, at most, temporary relief. It's like moving the projected image without changing the projector's reel. As long as the same film keeps running, the same story will be told. However, when we understand and alter the mental and spiritual causes, the transformation becomes stable and lasting because it occurs at the origin, not in the result. Thought provides the blueprint, like an architect drawing the plans. Universal law functions as the builder, transforming the mental project into a physical structure. The material form is the finished house, the manifestation of the original plan. This is why two people, in the same external conditions, can live in distinct realities. Each one inhabits the house that their mind projected, built by impersonal laws that neither favor nor harm anyone. Attention functions as a valve that regulates this causal flow. When focus falls on problems, diseases, conflicts, and lacks, we deliver models of disorder to the creative law to reproduce. The law, impersonal, does not judge, it only materializes with precision. When we discipline attention toward life, clarity, harmony, and service, we establish superior matrices for new experiences. This is not superficial positive thinking, it is an understanding of how reality is constructed. Contemporary science offers striking evidence. Quantum experiments show particles in a potential until they are observed. Only then do they collapse into a defined position. The double-slit experiment shows light as a wave or a particle according to observation. Neuroplasticity studies reveal that the brain reorganizes connections through repeated thought. Epigenetics proves that mental and emotional states can activate or deactivate genes, altering our biology. Everything points in the same direction. Consciousness precedes and determines physical manifestation. Consciously directing the mind is a basic necessity. Just as we accept physical hygiene, we need mental hygiene to maintain our reality healthy. Those who organize thoughts around elevated principles, unity instead of separation, love instead of fear, order instead of chaos, beauty instead of ugliness, responsible freedom instead of licentiousness or repression, offer superior molds to universal law for new conditions. This understanding dissolves paradoxes. It explains abundance in the midst of scarcity, healing where medicine has given up, impossible solutions to unsolvable problems. By understanding that matter is the surface of an ocean of creative potential, we realize that physical limitations are not absolute barriers, but current configurations of a reprogrammable system. The key is to work with the laws of consciousness, not against them. If physical reality arises from consciousness, we need to understand how consciousness operates through us. The materialist science of the last century made an error by supposing that the brain produces consciousness like a factory of thoughts. This interpretation inverts the phenomenon. The brain does not create consciousness. It functions as a receiver that captures and translates signals from a field of consciousness that permeates the universe. Understanding this transforms our perception of who we are and of our potential. Think of the brain as a television set. The TV doesn't create the programs. It captures invisible waves and converts them into images and sounds. If the TV breaks, the programs continue. That receiver has lost the capacity to capture them. In the same way, consciousness exists independently of the physical brain. The brain is the instrument through which universal consciousness individualizes itself and interacts with the material world. This view clarifies a mystery of neuroscience. How would subjective experience arise from merely chemical and electrical processes? The answer: it doesn't arise. The experience of being, the I that observes thoughts, exists before and independently of brain processes. The brain processes information, stores memories, and coordinates functions. The consciousness that illuminates all of this comes from a more fundamental source. Cases of near-death experiences with reports of expanded consciousness, even with minimal or absent brain activity, support this perspective. The individual mind operates on two interconnected levels. The objective part, which analyzes, chooses, concludes, and decides, consciously directs the experience. It is the voice that ponders options. The subjective part operates below the common threshold, receiving and executing with precision the impressions and commands of the objective part. It's like a powerful assistant that doesn't question orders. It only executes for good or for ill. This explains why deep beliefs overcome superficial intentions. The subconscious responds to what we really believe. It explains why persistent emotional states shape external reality. Emotions are the language that the subconscious best understands. It explains why some people seem to magnetize success while others repeat failure. Each one transmits and receives on different frequencies of the universal field of consciousness. The quality of reception depends on the state of the receiver. A brain intoxicated by substances, chaotic thoughts, or turbulent emotions is like a poorly tuned radio. It picks up static and distortion. Practices like meditation, contemplation, and disciplined study are fine adjustments that improve the clarity of the signal. Mental silence is not emptiness. It is the state in which noise diminishes and the more subtle signals of universal consciousness can be perceived. Ethical clarity is crucial in this tuning, not for moralism, but for the mechanics of resonance. Thoughts and actions based on deception, manipulation, or harm create distortion in the personal field, like dirt on a lens. Honesty, integrity, and genuine desire to serve the common good clean this lens, allowing purer reception and transmission. This is why ancient traditions emphasize ethical purification as the foundation of integral human development. Science, philosophy, and spirituality converge when we recognize that they describe the same phenomenon with different vocabularies. The quantum field of physicists, the universal mind of philosophers, and the unified field of consciousness researchers point to one reality, a living field of intelligence that permeates everything. This field individualizes itself in each human brain, creating the illusion of separation while maintaining fundamental unity. Each person is a unique point of perspective through which the universe experiences itself. Refining our receptivity becomes the central task of human life. Mental quietude, radical honesty with oneself, clear purpose, and compassionate attention adjust the tuning to higher frequencies of the universal field. Each improvement in reception benefits the individual and enriches the field with unique experiences and insights from each individualized consciousness. If consciousness permeates everything, and if each atom vibrates with this intelligence, we need to understand the true nature of what we call God. For centuries, God was imagined as a distant figure in some heaven, observing and judging creation. This image misses the most extraordinary truth. The creative source inhabits every particle of existence as life, intelligence, and love in action. God is not somewhere. God is the living fabric from which reality is made. This understanding transforms our relationship with the sacred, with life, and with our creative responsibility. The divine presence operates through precise and reliable laws, not through whims. Just as gravity acts equally on everyone, spiritual laws operate with impartiality. They do not punish or reward. They respond to the causes we establish through thoughts, feelings, and actions. When we understand that we work with universal laws and not with a temperamental deity, fear gives way to understanding, and supplication yields to the conscious application of principles. Living in tune with this presence is practical, adjusting the inner world to reflect attributes of the creative principle. These attributes show themselves throughout nature. Unity. Everything is interconnected, from particles to galaxies. Generosity. Life continuously gives itself. The sun shines, and the trees offer oxygen. Order. Mathematical patterns govern spirals, cycles, and orbits. Beauty. Nature creates with elegance, harmonizing form and function. Freedom with responsibility, autonomy within laws that preserve the balance of the whole. By aligning thoughts, words, and actions with these principles, we don't obey external rules. We synchronize with the fundamental rhythm of existence. Like a musician tuning the instrument with the orchestra, not out of obligation, but to fully participate in the symphony. Those who think in separation, act with greed, create disorder, cultivate ugliness, or use freedom irresponsibly work against the current of life. The result is not divine punishment, but the natural consequence of swimming against the current. Every physical form, from the grain of sand to the human body, expresses something of this creative presence. Reverence is not sentimentalism or blind worship. It is conscious recognition of the life that pulses in everything. By treating objects, environments, and people with care and respect, we honor the divine intelligence that vibrates in each form. Daily activities become sacred practices. Cleaning the house is caring for a temple. Preparing food is alchemy. Interacting with others is communion with the divine in human form. Noble ends require clean means. The creative law doesn't carry only the desired result. It carries the character of the process that generated it. Trying to achieve peace with violence, abundance with exploitation, or love with manipulation is planting thorns while expecting roses. The nature of the means determines the nature of the end, because at a deep level, means and end are aspects of the same creative movement. Mature spirituality combines humility and boldness. Humility in recognizing that we are individualized expressions of something infinitely greater. Boldness in understanding that, as conscious expressions of this creative force, we have power and responsibility to direct life and contribute to the evolution of the whole. We are neither insignificant worms nor omnipotent gods. We are conscious co-creators, learning to use power with wisdom. Internal resonance precedes external result. Before any condition manifests in the world, it exists as a vibrational pattern in the field of consciousness. Those who desire peace need to establish it within. Those who seek abundance need to feel abundant. Those who look for love need to become love in action. This is not an arbitrary rule, but the mechanics of manifestation. The interior projects itself into the exterior. The invisible precedes the visible. Daily coherence sustains all achievement. Moments of insight or elevated experiences don't transform a life alone. It is consistent practice, thought, feeling, word, and action aligned with elevated principles that reconstructs personal reality. Like drops of water that wear away stone, small acts of alignment accumulate until old patterns dissolve and a new reality emerges. This immanent divine energy also operates through a field of living memory that records experiences and makes knowledge available to those who learn to access it. The universe functions as a living library where each thought, emotion, and experience is recorded in a field of memory that transcends time and space. This is not just a metaphor, but an operational reality intuited by science in concepts like morphogenetic field and extended mind. The subjective mind doesn't just store its own impressions, it has potential access to this vast repository of knowledge accumulated by humanity. This field operates through principles that govern how information is stored, accessed, and reproduced. When you sustain a thought or an emotion with intensity and repetition, you plant a seed in this field. Universal law, impartial and precise, cultivates this seed until it sprouts as concrete experience. Thoughts are seeds. Life conditions are harvests. This is not abstract philosophy. It is the mechanics of how reality is constructed moment by moment. Mental responsibility gains another dimension. Each thought nurtured, each emotion cultivated, each word pronounced doesn't disappear. Everything is recorded and tends to reproduce itself in experience. Those who spend years complaining, focusing on problems, and feeding resentments program the field to return more of the same. Those who cultivate gratitude, seek solutions, and practice forgiveness sow corresponding conditions. The universe doesn't judge, it only returns multiplied. Genuine creativity doesn't arise from nothing, it operates through conscious tuning with this field of possibilities. The process follows steps that anyone can learn. First, the mind prepares a mold through a defined ideal, knowing exactly what to create. Second, the word fixes the mold. Speaking or writing gives form to thought. Third, feeling energized. Emotion is the fuel of the idea. Fourth, coherent action opens the passage for manifestation, acting as one who is already on the path of what they chose to create. Many get confused with denying problems and affirming solutions. Denying is not pretending that difficulties don't exist. It is refusing the problem as a final reality. You recognize the situation, but deny its permanent authority. Like the navigator who encounters a storm, he doesn't deny the storm, but denies that it determines the destination. Affirming is not repeating empty phrases, hoping for miracles. It is consciously working with superior principles, capable of transforming the situation. One affirms the solution not to escape from reality, but to create a new reality through mental laws. Cognitive hygiene becomes as important as physical hygiene. Mental clarity is knowing what you think and why. Truthfulness is being honest with yourself about motivations and desires. Focus is disciplining attention to remain on what you choose to create, not on what you fear. These are not optional practices for those seeking spiritual development. They are basic necessities for directing life experience. Effective purification complements mental hygiene. Goodwill, sincere gratitude, and active compassion are not just nice feelings. They are frequencies that tune to elevated aspects of the field. Chronic anger, persistent fear, and corrosive envy are not sins in the moralistic sense. They are frequencies that connect to inferior patterns, guaranteeing corresponding experiences. Choosing the emotional frequency in which to live is choosing the quality of experience you wish to attract. Daily practice consolidates everything. Service to others connects with the flow of abundance, those who serve open channels to receive. Study expands understanding of universal laws. Knowledge is power when applied. Meditative silence clears the noise. In quietude, more subtle frequencies of the universal field are accessed. These are not obligations imposed by external authority. They are techniques to elevate the quality of what you emit and consequently what you receive. For this reason, the concept of karma gains new meaning. Karma is not divine punishment. It is the soul's curriculum, the record of what you emitted returning as experience for learning. Each challenge is an opportunity to learn what the soul needs. Each difficult situation offers a chance to transmute old patterns into wisdom. The law records everything, not to condemn, but to educate. You learn, correct, evolve, and master the art of creating consciously. The modern human being carries a profound creative potential awaiting conscious direction. This reality, known by ancient initiates and rediscovered by quantum science, shows that we operate in two modes of consciousness: the universal, which provides principle and potency, and the individual, which chooses the direction and determines the form of manifestation. This is not speculation. It is an operational fact that determines human experience. Thought is not a secondary neurological phenomenon. It is the primary cause of all physical experience. The subconscious mind operates in a precise manner. It records what we think frequently and then reproduces these patterns in daily life. This is why people exposed to the same situations live distinct experiences. Each one harvests what their mind was programmed to produce. Modern physics confirms this wisdom by demonstrating that the observer influences the behavior of subatomic particles, revealing the inseparable relationship between consciousness and matter. Theoretical knowledge, however profound, remains sterile without application. The process requires 3 steps: honestly observing one's own thought patterns, consciously choosing ideas that represent life, goodness, and order, sustaining these ideas with genuine emotion and consistent action. Without these 3 elements together, we repeat the same experiences. Observation requires courage to face destructive habits without escape. Choice demands wisdom to distinguish passing desires from permanent values. Sustaining creates the channel through which the idea becomes a concrete reality. Words and daily habits function as direct commands to the subconscious. This part of the mind acts like a computer. It doesn't judge whether an instruction is good or bad. It only executes. It records and reproduces constructive or destructive programs with efficiency. This is why caring for thoughts and being sincere with yourself is not a philosophical luxury. It is a practical necessity. Repeating empty affirmations doesn't produce change. Only deep conviction, based on real understanding, has creative power. Each word, gesture, and thought, maintained long enough, leaves its mark on the mental substrate that shapes future reality. Daily life is the ideal laboratory of this mental science. Attention to the present moment transforms confused perception into clear understanding. Precise words eliminate the confusion that hinders the subconscious. Serving the common good aligns with the flow of abundance and harmony. When we create clear and emotionally vivid mental images of justice, cooperation, and balance, external reality begins to reflect these inner seeds. The process follows natural laws of growth, like a plant that germinates, grows, and bears fruit. When many people think and feel similarly about elevated values, something extraordinary happens. Social institutions, political structures, and economic systems reflect what the majority deeply believes and feels. True social transformation doesn't occur just by changing laws or external systems. It happens when a sufficient number of people elevate their mental and emotional patterns. Violent revolutions fail because they try to change results without transforming mental causes. When many establish patterns of justice, cooperation, and wisdom, social structures reorganize to express this new collective consciousness. Mastery over one's own life is born when thought, word, and action function in harmony. Spiritual maturity develops with disciplined practice. Meditative silence clears the noise and reveals the voice of inner wisdom. Study offers knowledge tested by generations. Daily practice transforms theory into living experience. This process continues until internal character and external environment align. What you are inside is reflected in what you live outside. The journey reveals that creative energy is not distant in heaven. It vibrates in each cell of the body and in each atom of the universe. Spiritual awakening is recognizing this presence in everything and aligning with it. This dissolves the illusion of separation between spirit and matter and opens the path to our true purpose in this dimension of experience. Human life in the third dimension is not a cosmic accident, nor a prison requiring escape. It is a school designed for the development of conscious individualization, the process through which universal consciousness learns to know itself and express itself through unique experiences. Every human being already possesses creative power. What is lacking is lucid direction and understanding of how to use this power constructively and sustainably. The universal law that governs this school operates with impartiality, like a teacher who doesn't judge, it only reflects. When we use creative power with intelligence and alignment to universal principles, we experience freedom, the capacity to consciously create the chosen reality. When we use the same power carelessly, ignorantly, or destructively, the resulting experience brings the necessary correction. There is no external punishment, there is natural learning resulting from choices. Pain is not punishment, it is feedback. Suffering is not a sentence, it is a curriculum. Superior ideas, love, unity, abundance, and harmony exist in the field of possibilities. For them to become lived reality, they need stable mental equivalents, mental and emotional structures capable of sustaining their manifestation. It's like trying to play a complex symphony on an out-of-tune instrument. The music exists in the score, but the instrument needs to be prepared, tuned, and maintained. Our mind and our emotions are the instruments through which superior ideas can or cannot manifest. Real spiritual progress happens when insight descends to the level of daily habit. Many have moments of extraordinary clarity, glimpses of profound truths, and experiences of expansion. If these insights remain as pleasant memories, without practical change in behavior, they return to the plane of the ideal without lasting transformation. Mastery arises when understanding reorganizes automatic patterns of thought, feeling, and action. When compassion becomes natural, insight completes its journey from heaven to earth. Falls and failures don't invalidate progress. Each relapse reveals where adjustments need to be made. Exploding in anger after months of growth doesn't erase the path. It brings precise information about the next step. Spiritual perfectionism is a trap. The school of life doesn't demand perfection. It asks for continuous learning, honest correction, and patient persistence. Society functions as a mirror of the sum of dominant mental images in collective consciousness. Widespread corruption is not the work of a few bad people, but the reflection of many small daily dishonesties. Systemic violence manifests countless aggressive thoughts and feelings sustained by the masses. Institutionalized injustice results from the collective acceptance of the idea that some deserve more than others. Institutions don't create social consciousness, they reflect it and perpetuate it. Sustainable social transformation is not imposed from top to bottom through laws, regulations, or revolutions. Real change occurs when individuals in growing numbers establish with conviction and consistent practice mental models of justice, cooperation, mental sobriety, and beauty in action. When critical mass is reached, when enough people sustain these elevated patterns, collective forms reorganize to reflect the new consciousness. It's pure physics. When energy changes, form follows. The so-called golden age will not come only through technology, scientific discoveries, or political reforms, although they may participate. It will arise when human beings learn to consciously use the mental and spiritual laws that are always available. Science of attention, to see what is happening without filters of prejudice and conditioning. Ethics of care, to choose what to support and what to transform. courage to serve, to sustain changes even in the face of resistance. These are not utopias, but practicable skills. The cycle of lucidity becomes sustainable through positive feedback. When an individual character matures through conscious practice, institutions begin to reflect this maturity. When institutions elevate, they facilitate and support character development in more people. Schools teach not just information, but wisdom. Companies operate not just for profit, but for purpose. Governments serve not just interests, but principles. Each improvement at one level reinforces improvements at others, creating an ascending spiral of conscious evolution. This three-dimensional school, with its challenges and opportunities, is the perfect environment for developing conscious, responsible, and creative beings. We are not here to suffer or to escape, but to learn, grow, and contribute to the great work of conscious evolution. Each human life is a unique opportunity to participate in this adventure of self-discovery and creation. Awakening is not the end of the journey, it is the beginning of conscious education and the possibility of creating, together, a reality that reflects the best of the human and divine potential we carry. And this joint creation, this active participation in conscious evolution, begins with a fundamental step: recognizing yourself as a co-creator of this reality. All genuine and lasting change is born from this profound understanding of your role as a co-creator, and the only way to truly connect with this divine intelligence that guides us is through meditation, the portal through which we access the highest states of consciousness and perceive our true nature. To support you on this journey of awakening and connection, we have developed a special set of audio tools that facilitate access to this higher state of consciousness, guiding your meditative practice and accelerating your process of conscious evolution. To learn more and get immediate access to these transformative tools, click on the link on the screen or in the comments. And if this video resonated with you, if these words touched something deep in your being, write in the comments, "It made sense to me,"